Hey guys,
Hey
it's
guys, it's
Project Matt.
Project
Welcome to
Welcome
Personal
to
Development
Personal
Hack,
Development
our
Hack, our
monthly
monthly
episode.
episode.
Remember, we're here
Remember,
to help
we're
you
here to help you
guys get off
guys
of
get
the
off of the
autopilot,
autopilot,
do what
do
truly
what
inspires
truly
you, and
inspires
live your
you, and
best
live
life.
your best life.
We've got another
We've got
special
another
guest
special
coming
guest
today. Her name is
for
Laura
name Laura
Ordeal.
Ordeal.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, Laura.
Hi.
Doing well today?
Doing well today?
I'm doing good today. The sun's shining. I'm enjoying it.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Sun's out.
Sun's out, and it
brings a smile
on
on the face. That's for sure.
That's for sure. So,
for the
for
viewing
the
audience
viewing
that
audience that
may not know
may
you,
not know
or
you,
what
or what
you
you
do, or what
do,
you
or what you
introduce yourself.
Yeah, actually, I'm all kinds of things, but I am a master hypnotist and a professional astrologer and intuitive. I work in a lot of different modalities, and basically I help people through big changes in their life to move through them quickly, easily, and completely. I think that's super important. So that's me.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. So
with helping
people,
is it like
trauma,
or is it just
life
they're stuck, or
kind of
what brings
them
to
you?
Oh, both actually.
Okay.
Both. Yeah. There's sometimes when people just need a boost and they need a little bit, they're stuck in a spot and they can't quite figure out why or what's going on. And sometimes they need a little confidence boost or something like that. And I help them through that. And then actually I've been doing some specialized training and working with some people to really help with trauma, PTSD, CPTSD, all the little things that are unfortunately mixed into that. So
right.
Yeah,
and I can. There's a lot of reasons people need
help
getting
a
boost,
or getting
clarity,
or
getting moving, progress in
them.
And I can see how
trauma,
depending on how long, whatever, people just hold on to it, and never move past. So that's good that you're helping.
There.
As well. Some just get an autopilot. Where they feel like they're taking their life, but actually past doing what they truly want to.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been there. I've been in that spot, and it's not a comfortable place to be in.
Yeah. What? Let's explore. So when you were in that, what prompted you to take action to make? What was it? Singular event or a build? What was that? Enough is enough.
I think there were a few things that happened along the way. And then, as usually happens in big change for people, there was a catalyst that, as they say, was the straw that broke the camel's back. And it's like, okay, it's time. And I had a situation at work that took me into a place I didn't want to go and I was uncomfortable with and didn't like it. And I had to face the fact that I might not work there anymore. And I had been there for a very long time. And that prompted me to look at the possibility. If that changed, whether it was in my choice or not, what was it going to look like going forward? What was my financial situation going to look like? All the what ifs, where you travel down that little road of what if worst case scenario, and you take yourself all the way down worst case scenario, and then you bring it back and go, now what if all the good things happened? What would that look like too? And so I took that journey on both roads.
Yeah. That's good to hear. Not good that you were but I think in life a lot of presented with things that could optional for you, or even vision by others. The fact that you were to make sure that it didn't feel obviously or you felt your purpose. I can't break these. And you made the decision. And most importantly, you didn't talk about it. Action.
Yeah, that's key. I think we often get stuck in that part where we just think that if we think about things hard enough, or we wish for them hard enough, or we hope for them hard enough, that it's going to happen. But until you're actually out in the flow of things and in that energetic way of moving in the world, it's not going to, it's like sitting on the side of a river and hoping that you're going to get downriver. You got to put yourself on, out in the middle of the river for the current to kind of carry you where you need to go. And that's the energy of the world that we're in. And that's the life that we live. It's that type of a thing. You have to be out in it for it to get you where you want to go. Even if you're making missteps, it's okay if you make a misstep. That's all right. Course correct later. It's okay.
You learn from
it.
Yeah.
You don't treat it
as
I can't do it.
And go back to the shore.
Is
bring it out.
Acting. You learn from what you did. Don't do that again. And come up with a new making progress forward. I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. That they want these huge improvements immediately. That's why diet drugs and get rich schemes and all this stuff because of that instant gratification. But you have to put yourself in the mind. Even if I'm better by 1% than I was yesterday, that's progress. And it adds up.
It does. And we forget to notice that. And the thing is that when you do take the time to notice it, when you do take the time to notice it, it triggers your subconscious to come in and say, ooh, that was a nice feeling. That was something good. We want more of that. And so then it starts initiating and moving so that you are able to make more progress and have more accomplishments and move in that way. And one thing that, I think I've heard a couple people say, and I can't remember the original time I heard it, but somebody told me once, it wasn't a moment of crossing a finish line where it's like, oh, I made it, I'm good. They all of a sudden look back somewhere along the line and it's like, oh, I really have done all those things and had a part of those things. But as they were moving through life, they were just moving in the directions of what they wanted their best life to be and accomplishing so many things along the way. And then in that moment, able to look back and go, oh gosh, yeah, this is great. But they weren't at the finish line because they still wanted different things now and they wanted to keep moving and doing things. So you can't wait for when this happens or when that happens. You have to just keep moving. You have to be in that action process, in that flow.
Yeah, and that's I want to key in on one thing that you talked about how subconsciously what to make progress and action. You're going at 1% per day. You start to feel differently. Start to gain confidence, gain energy. And your body telling you go get more. And what tends to happen, depending on what your progress is, that 1% day, as your body craves that progress, it starts to explode because your energy so higher that it becomes addictive. That whole progress process where looking for opportunity, they start to come nowhere, and because you're attracted that energy, and your body is responding like just keep that coming, and we'll keep feeding you energy. Keep feeding us progress.
Right. That's true. Well, we have to remember that our subconscious is always trying to work for the best in our life. It really is. The thing that it gets stuck on is you might be working on some old programming, for about the first 7 years of our life, any child's life, they're kind of in a constant state of hypnosis. They're establishing that path for the pathways for your subconscious. And unless you go in and modify some of that later in life and change that, which constant repetition and things like that can change that. It takes a long time. It's harder to do if you do it that way, through true grit and all of that. But if you go in and you reprogram the things that are in your subconscious, then you can update it. It's kind of like going in and updating, your computer, your phone, all of that. You want the newest version so that you're moving in a quick and easy way through life. And if you're operating at that 7-year-old level, it might be that you heard your parents fighting about success or fighting about money or having an argument or said something that it went right into that programming and it stayed in there. So now you're moving through, you're striving, you're trying to do the thing, you're trying to bring more money in, being the amazing entrepreneur that you are, or doing, get the next level in the corporate ladder. And something just keeps stopping you and you can't figure out why. And it's probably related to some of that old programming because your subconscious is still running on that.
Yeah, I agree.
With it's
that old
programming is reinforced by
what society. You listen to
the
societal hates, basically. Go to high school, get a job, work for 4, get a 401k. They say Social Security, but and so you fall into that. And that's where my experience is working with people that they've had success for 10, 12 years, and then they get that where you can have a quiet with them, and you ask, are you happy? And they're like, nope. They look at it. Got into this. I enjoyed what I did. It paid. There was opportunity. But now I feel stuck because my income support is a comfortable space to be. The company's not going. I'm not going away. I've achieved X, Y, and Z. But I'm not passionate. I want to do X. It could be a job. It could be somewhere else in their life. Health or relation related to it. But just because someone doesn't mean they're living their best life. There's a lot more to conscience, like you said. I mean, I think someone told me the first 7 years of any person's life, like 90 all down, where they're just taking in. But unfortunately, by age 7, download 55% of what's going by 15, 99%. And there's a lot needs to be reprogrammed how those years.
Well, yeah, most of us need a little adjustment after our teenage years.
Well, that's some more than others.
But I think we all need adjustments along the way, and we don't, unless you're paying attention to what's coming out of your mouth, what you're saying, what you're feeling, the things like that. Unless you're paying attention to that, you're not going to find necessarily some of the things that you need to be working on. Your body will always tell you. Your body will tell you through even physical things. If you're having physical things going on, it might not necessarily be related to anything, especially if they can't find anything specific, but it can be something from a struggle that's going on in your mind that you aren't even aware of. That's where trauma comes in a lot, is, people, and I find it super interesting. I heard a story the other day. It was from actually a mentor that I was working with, and she told me that she was working with someone who stuttered, and through hypnosis and the trauma work and everything. And they actually kind of found out at one point through the work that they were doing together, which is all under hypnosis. The majority of it, you have conversations, but most of that work is under hypnosis. But he had a memory at one point of being teeny, like barely able to speak. So, maybe 2 years old, 3 years old, something like that. And there was somebody's birthday, and he accidentally knocked over birthday cake. And, so he kind of got yelled at, or, mom got upset. Oh, you're a bad baby. And the baby was trying to say, it was an accident, I'm sorry. But he didn't really have enough words. And so he was kind of stuttering to get something out. And he stuttered from that day forward. And once they went in and found that little boy and kind of brought that forward into the connection and said, you don't have to stay in that place of trauma anymore, that moment, which is where they were stuck. You know, they were stuck in that moment. This little tiny person who couldn't articulate what he needed to articulate. The stuttering stopped from that once he came to that realization and brought, you know, that wholeness back to himself of bringing that little boy back together with him. And that is what a lot of us get stuck in, moments that we're not even aware of, that we anchor into ourselves somehow through trauma, through a moment of embarrassment, through a moment of fear, all of those things. And then it anchors in. And until you go in and change that anchor, move that anchor, you know, get rid of it, anchor something else in, it's going to hold you stuck.
Yeah.
Well, and like for that individual, they honestly they might remember that happened. When what, and sometimes what impacts us the most can be the smallest insignificant, but the impact that has our being, our soul, or whatever you call it, who we are, it can last a lot. And that's where it's you have to find individuals that are dealing with it. You have alternative way to deal, not just like, you know, go to the doctor, something like that. Really have to do the work to dig in to figure out. Oh, it was my 3-year-old knocked over a cake, and that's what something that you know for a third.
Well, and the fun part with the subconscious is oftentimes it doesn't come through as clearly as that, and you might not ever know what it was, but the subconscious knows. The subconscious has every piece of information about us from the time we're born, before we're born, you know, and the brain's formed. It has all of that information in there, and it can go in and find the folder that's in the folder that's in the folder that's in the folder that has that little piece of information. Whether that comes clear to you and you become aware of it, or the symptoms are gone from there, doesn't really matter if it's gone. If the IBS is gone, if the migraine headaches are gone, if the anxiety is gone, if all of that's gone, it doesn't really matter what that moment was, as long as now it's resolved. And I hope this doesn't come across wrong, but oftentimes people get stuck in talk therapy and for years and years and years, and they can't come to terms with those things. And that's one of the reasons why I love the work that I've been led to, because it changes people's life in a matter of weeks, sometimes hours. I mean, it can be 1 or 2 sessions in, which is only an hour to 2 hours, you know, somewhere in there. And it changes it from that point forward. And if that can happen for someone and clear up something that is really difficult for them, you know, people with IBS, you can't get far from the bathroom. You have to be 10 feet within a bathroom. That's a very limiting thing to be in life. People have migraines. Oh my gosh, so painful. And I've had them myself in my life, so I know.
Yeah.
Anxiety. How many people today deal with anxiety? And it's unfortunate, and it's really not something that has to be in play. And so, you know, and you can do it, and medication has its place. Absolutely. Medication is there to get people through to the place that they need to be. But there's a point where you have to go in and deal with the self and with all of these parts that are inside of you that need to be functioning fully for you to have the life that you want to live. And when you can do that, then oftentimes a lot of the medication kind of becomes unnecessary, which I think is awesome. I think that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah,
it's
a lot of
people are dealing with things that,
like I said,
that they have
no idea what it stems
from.
And
And
they have no
they
idea.
have no idea.
The
The
subconscious
subconscious
look at a folder, folder. Talk therapy is never going to find
the
because
because it's
so
so
lost basically up
basic
until that point
that
that you can talk for years
years
and still be
dealing
with
with the same problem.
but
But
it's
it's
finding the way like I said, to tap into that, be able to have the knowledge inside of us, our subconscious brain say, here's the found it buried over and for there and then it also, it's like the feeling that had to get through that and talking not stuttering it his life.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how whatever, but just
dealing with that
for any amount of time must have been difficult. Especially going through school and high school, brutal and everything. But even adulthood, I mean, he had to live with it. And then all of a sudden, one day he goes up. I mean, people had to look at him like, what happened?
Right.
Like,
what an awesome moment for him.
Yeah.
I think,
Where's
Bob?
But that's why we all do like you and I to help people have moments, have that eye open. Let's face it, that guy's gonna live his life with it anymore. Hopefully not with it, and live best and not have to deal with something can be debilitating.
Absolutely. That's right. Yeah. And as much as our subconscious mind tries to do what's best for us and tries to keep us safe, which is what it's doing the entire time, even when it's something that's holding us back, like anxiety. Often, so you think about how something might come about in a way that is like that. If someone goes and they get on an airplane, they've been flying for a long time, all of a sudden they have a particularly rough flight and something triggers inside of them and anchors in that moment, then, ooh, that was really an uncomfortable feeling. That was scary for whatever reason. It was difficult. I had a moment of panic. I don't like that. Subconscious registers that and says, oh, we don't like that. All right. Now, how do we make sure that you stay safe and alive going forward? Because that's its major thing. Stay safe, alive, and happy. And so it's going to say every time you go to fly again, it's going to be like, oh, no. You can't do that. Yeah. We remember that was a difficult thing. We're going to keep you safe. We're not going to let you fly. And there comes the fear of flying.
Right.
And so you have to go in and take that little pinpoint that was put in there in that moment, clear it, and then the subconscious can go, oh, okay. So we don't have that feeling anymore. Now it's okay to fly. And that's kind of what happens, because I'll say too, sometimes in working, I also work with NLP, which is kind of combined with hypnosis for me, but it's an incredible thing because we get stuck sometimes in emotions which is part of that whole process that I just talked about. But also we might be stuck in guilt or shame or something, and we just can't move beyond it. And we can't get past that uncomfortable moment to find a way. And when you go in with NLP especially, which is neuro-linguistic programming, you go in and you basically clear the slate of the emotions, not of the lesson that it might have been in your life, but the horrible feeling in your chest or your stomach or that angst that it brings on in the moment, you can go in and clear that away. And then the next time it comes up, it's like, oh, that doesn't bother me. I'm good. I can go forward. It might have been that you were horribly embarrassed getting up on a stage when you were, 7 years old. And now you can't go on with your speaking career because it's crushing you, but you really want to do speaking. You go in, you clear the emotion, you clear the situation, you have that conversation with the subconscious, and you move forward. It's awesome.
Right. Yeah. You're talking about fear flying and root of could be. So just I'll peel back my own little skill here, but I have a fear of not of. I'm fine with just like me and the grand don't get along. Get close to the edge. Like I just get I just can't do it. But I know why. I was that. My family were in top of the Empire State. Got the observation, and they got the railing, and then a couple feet after that, there's the glass. So I'm sitting there, looking over the checking everything out. Unbeknownst to me, Dad comes up, grabs me under the arm, picks me up, holds me out. So I went from cool to oh my god. That was my fear.
Yeah.
So I haven't moved past it. I took my kids. I walked on the left, not the right. But it's important to explore those things because is kind of works and everything. Inside of each there is I mean for cause, there is a cause that you deal with figure out, because it's going to solve a lot of what you may be dealing with now. Not that it was something experienced when you're full.
Oh, absolutely. And the things that most people want to get rid of or change, or maybe it's they're drinking too much, or maybe it's the drugs, or maybe it's the insomnia, or the anxiety, or the IBS that I mentioned, digestive issues, things like that. Those are symptoms often of that root cause that you're talking about. It's not a cause that's there. Those are the symptoms. And when you do get to that root cause, the symptoms clear.
Yeah.
And, so, and most people, especially, when we first came on talking about PTSD and CPTSD, complex PTSD, there are multiple symptoms that people deal with. They deal with difficult relationships, they deal with anger, they deal with anxiety, they deal with digestive problems, they deal with a multitude of problems. And so coming in and saying they want to do this one thing so that they can move forward is great, but you can kind of clear that for a moment, but it's likely going to show back up until you go a little deeper, clear that, reset it, hit the little reset button so that you clear everything out. And then amazingly, the other things tend to go away as well. And
right. Like something like PTSD or something any trauma that happened long ago. It might manifest itself, let's say with troubled relationships.
Oh,
Well, the unfortunate thing is if you fix your troubled relationship, that trauma is correct too. It says, oh, you're there. How about a sub? Or it'll find a different way to surface because you never dealt with core issue. You just fix the
right. I often compare our subconscious to a puppy because it will keep coming back at you. It'll want the attention, until you give it the attention that it needs. And then, relaxes, it comes into being happy, but it will keep coming back at you. Give me attention. And until it gets your attention in the way that it needs to, it's just going to find another way. Maybe it's going to go chew up the shoes. Maybe it's going to, pee on the rug. I don't know, all the different things that it can do to really kind of mess you up and cause the issues in your life. And some people have that. Obviously, some people have all those things. And if you can go in and give the attention where it's needed, then the people can come out and start moving in a direction and living in a life that they want to live. And the great thing is that hypnosis also actually, it doesn't just get rid of the things that are there. It can actually help instill some things too. It can help with confidence. It can help with motivation. It can help with, giving you the boost in the areas that you need to get you out to doing those things that you want to do. Because, our subconscious is pretty much the driver, period. It's the bus driver, and it's going to take us where it wants to go. So you can sit there and go along for the ride, or you can start giving it some direction. Enter in the code, the coordinates of where you want to go, enter in the things, and then allow it to find the way that is a good and healthy and happy way for you to do that. And it will. It absolutely will. But it has to have directions.
Right.
It's completely right.
And I agree. Except for one thing. You said give you confidence and motivation. See, I'm of the stance because motivation is an external factor. Inspiration internal factor. And that's where we differ. As you're making, you also need to figure out why it's important that you're making and asking times why? Because let's face it, there's where motivation is lacking. It could be owing your daily motivation calendar didn't register or whatever. But your inspiration, your true purpose, and your why never leaves. The more you feed by making the hotter and bigger start burning in you, and that adds about like you go from 1% to accelerate because body is great progress and fire hotter than want more. So
yeah. Oh yeah, I think why is incredibly important. And I think, throughout life that often changes during the different stages of life, what your why might be. But I think there's always something behind it of who you are, and you bring that to each version of your why. And so knowing that you have something to tap into with yourself to kind of help you boost in the direction that you want to go and move in the direction that you want to be and clear the way a little bit. That's an awesome thing to be aware of as you go forward, because it's oftentimes when you're making a shift and you are changing, you're making like that big change in life, you're going to have things, it's pretty consistent with everyone I've worked with my own life. You have that catalyst that we talked about that moves you in a new direction. All right, life's changing. Here we go. And then the fear steps in. And it's like, ooh, I don't know. The unknown is too scary. It's crazy scary. And so I don't know if I want to make the change. I have to tell a quick little interesting thing here. There was a little story, and I heard this first in a friend of mine. Her daughter had a class assignment, and it was to talk about, it was during the slavery days, they were studying that particular time. And it said, if you were a slave, knowing all of the things that they had to go through, knowing all the things that were going on, would you stay where you were, or would you take the risk and leave? And I said, well, you'd take the risk and leave. And she said, no, you would stay. So there was this whole different thing that came up right then. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. But our subconscious again steps in and goes, I don't know what that is. I'm a little afraid of that. And I don't know it. So that brings fear in. And I don't want you to feel fear. So we're not going to step forward. We're not going to move. We're not going to take the risk. So coming in and again, soothing that little puppy, having that conversation, knowing that it's going to be okay. And that's kind of a thing that you have to come to in yourself. I'm going to be okay, even if I step out. And so when you can do that and you move forward in those things, and then oftentimes right after that fear comes in what I call pool sharks. And pool sharks are those really irrational fears, because when I was growing up, I grew up in the Jaws era and saw Jaws. And so when I was quite young, maybe a little older, but I was afraid there were sharks in pools. No rational basis, nothing there. But I just knew if I dove in that water that there was gonna be a shark somewhere in that water. And so we have that part of our brain that functions, and the fear is real.
Oh yeah.
No matter what the thought, how crazy the thought is, the feeling in your body is real fear, is real anxiety, is real upset. And so you have to kind of work yourself and move yourself through that as well. And then you move into a place of acceptance that is like, oh, okay, things are going to change and I'm going to be okay. And then you move into that being inspired, moving into that motivation, moving forward into the full action that you can do. Because through the rest of it, you're kind of taking these steps, one step forward, maybe two back, three forward, another one back, but you're moving. But once you get clear of some of those, fears and things, and you come into that acceptance that life is good to change. Life is always changing. It's just a matter of how you're directing it. And it's going to be okay. Then you can really push forward in that inspiration and that action.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I want to expand more on the
fear that we're
just talking about how to overcome.
First, I just wanted to give you a quick update here, just explain how people can get you and how you can help them.
Yeah, that's my website, lauraordeal.com. And you can hop on there, and there's actually some free things that you can grab, some meditations that I've done. One of them is to actually get past procrastination. I did a subliminal recording, which is a part of tapping into the subconscious. There's some other fun things. I use color energy a lot, color to activate different anchors in the things that you want to move through in life. And I have a whole little free thing on that. But you can also book a conversation with me for free on there if you're really ready for the change in your life and you just aren't exactly sure what the next step is, or how can I help you, or if I can't help you, I'm pretty sure I probably might know someone who can. So you can book a free call.
I'm right here.
Right there. I have a lot of people that I've gotten to meet and know and chat with, and so I always try to be honest with people too, that if I can't help them or we're not the right fit, you might be the right fit for them. You might be exactly what they need. And so go talk to this person, have a conversation. There's nothing wrong with having a conversation. And most people are really afraid to do that. They're really afraid, first of all, of getting sold to, which is not something that is not something I want to do. Absolutely. I want to make a living. Yes, I want to make money, all of those wonderful things. But I want to make sure that you're going to see progress most of all. That's the most important thing for me, is for you to see progress, is for you to come out the other side of working with me as a better version of yourself, knowing that you have the capabilities to move forward and some tools to do that, to help yourself in the moments that you might still get stuck every now and then. But the difference is you won't be stuck at such a space that you can't move forward. You might just trip a little, and then you're able to pick yourself up and go. Right. So you can find me there. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, I think I'm on TikTok. I think I'm on a lot of stuff.
Yes.
All the social stuff.
Oh, trust me. I took my brand and put it across all social media. Some of it, I did. But it's there. So, and then for us, guys, same thing as Laura. We just want to help you get autopilot and do what inspires. change in your life for the better. It's the same deal. It's complimentary phone. We're going to talk about where you go. How it's most is going to cost you 30 minutes of your station. And there's fear getting to. If you're not right for the, I'll be the first to even offer you anything. Be like, hey, look, that work. If it is right, I'm going to present it to what it is. And I'm not. That's it. It's going to be your decision. The people that are most my program are people that take not people that talk take action. So and if you like this or any of our just go to YouTube at Project 9 subscribe to the channel and see this and single previous episode. But we're talking about with something new or making progress or anything like that. If people are they're coming to one of us unhappy with status quo, like their current. It could be something that they're holding on to. They a migraine, something like that. Or they're just looking at their life going, I'm successful, but I'm and so they come to us and then we present them and there's two choices. Move forward or you don't. What happens is don't move forward is because of what if I try this or what if I get it completely wrong? What if I don't get approval for friends for what I'm and then they do. But I try to tell people look, you change your mindset a little, and don't think about the negative items that make a choice to change your life for the better. But think about it what if I do this and it works?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now I am and I feel that my family feels better, friends feel better. I'm elevating my status because what I found it's an unfortunate people are happy. They come to us they don't want to move forward. Unfortunately, the life go back to is the same one that said they were. And typically it's at work because it could be a month here they're going to be unhappy and think God I should have taken because I could have spent making progress instead of now I'm thinking again because the boss came back for this. So
yeah, that's so true. People get so stuck in that and in thinking that they can't move through something until something else happens. I can't, step out of this job until I have another job, or I can't step forward until my finances are in order, or I can't do this. And I think often if you start moving in a direction of, well, what can I do? What little tiny thing can I do today to move forward in the way that I want to? And that might be one tiny thing. It might be actually getting in touch with you or I and having a conversation. It might be discovering something that you really are passionate about, looking into what do I love? Because oftentimes people don't know. They're like, I don't even know what I want to do or where I want to go until they start looking. And I think a couple of great things, just little fun, tiny little tricks for your mind to change that process is spend 24 hours and don't say anything negative and see how you do. And you will realize and that's just 24 hours. It's half of it, you're going to be asleep. So, but from this time till, this time next day, see what you say. Ooh, crap, it's Monday. I hate Mondays. Ooh, gosh, I hate the traffic. Oh my gosh, that person is so annoying. Oh, did you hear about how difficult? Think about, and if you set it in there to start paying attention to it, you will find the traces of what are in your subconscious and what you're leaning into. And then you can start catching yourself and flipping that switch in a direction. I had to do it not too long ago with myself, and I'm a mindset guy, but I found myself, this was probably a couple of years ago actually, but I found myself really noticing something, and I would just have a derogatory something to say about it. And all of a sudden I was just driving down the road and I looked over and I thought that derogatory thing even, and I'm like, wait a minute, what is going on with me that I'm thinking in that realm about the sports car or about the fancy car? It was about cars or something, and I thought, what is that negative moment? And so I kind of had to backpedal a little bit, and I thought, all right, let's figure that out. And I, of course I do what I do, and I don't even know specifically like I said, what the root was or what the situation was, but I was able to shift it some, and with just part of it with practice. With every time I saw something at that point, and that was in that, if that thought started to come, it's like, oh, let's just switch that up. Let's just say, yay for them. They have something wonderful in their life. And it changed the way that I went forward. And it changed a lot of the of when I was out driving or doing something. Now I see something and think, oh, I could maybe want that one. That's beautiful. Or, oh, that's so fun. I hope that someday I get to spend the money as luxuriously as that in the way that I want to, and it changes your outlook in the way that you move forward. So it's super fun.
Yeah. And if you spend 24 hours and you start to notice
that you're not
saying,
you're thinking
it. Then you can start to like how you're approaching.
Like just because someone has a Ferrari, it doesn't. They're not mean. They're just they've spent
exactly.
Good for them. That it should be celebrated, not on like, what are you doing driving? Or whatever. So it's a good exercise, and do it more than just like set yourself up like every because if you've got a 9 to Sunday after, that's when you're like thinking about working. That's where you're gonna have some probably come. So, but do it once a month or something like just challenge yourself. 24 hours. No negativity.
Yeah. And you will find a difference. You will.
And it'll become habit. Become like part of just act with the world.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're thankful when other people or they got to or whatever it is. But the negativity is gone. You're not thinking or you're thinking positive.
Yeah. Another fun little trick too, and this is always one, and I swear it works every time, is when you're walking from one place to another, simply, you can either say it out loud or say it in your mind. Simply say thank you. Thank you. Even if you're in a bad mood, even if you're in a difficult situation, if you start just saying thank you, and I don't care if you're counting your steps as you do it, walking to wherever, as you start to do that, your mind will go out and find something that says, oh, and then it's like, oh yeah, you're grateful for that. Oh yeah, you're grateful for that. And it starts to bring those good things in. And I would challenge you right now to try it and not smile while you do it. because you will end up with a smile on your face by the time you get to wherever you're going. So when you're going from this car to the store, when you're going from your office to the bathroom, when you're, going up or down the stairs at your house, try it and see what happens.
Yeah.
Well,
In the interest of
little tips and tricks,
there's an
easy
to determine
if you're
a curious
person or
and
Oh.
curiosity.
we all know that leads to
far
greater
you're curious about how things
how
work,
things
why
work,
things work, what's going on. Your head's up. The easiest test. Next time we go out to lunch, I stay on a street as people walk. Go sit on the patio. And the test is find yourself people or not. Because if you're people watching, you're curious. If you're just focused on eating, ordering, looking at the phone, you're not.
I can't not people watch. It doesn't
Oh, yeah.
matter where I am. I will people watch. At the football game, I barely watch the football game. I'm watching the people watch the football game.
Yeah.
So,
Well, but it's so easy to. It's just a self-analysis.
yeah.
Like
That is great. I didn't know that. That's something I'll have to.
Because if it's in you, you're curious, you automatically, and you spend the first 10 minutes water like watching and you can see just what they're wearing, like who they're trying to figure talking about, not like obvious things, but but you see such amazing things. And if you're stuck your phone focused on what's right, you're gonna walk.
Yeah. That's true.
So
Sadly.
the other thing that I wanted, based on we got about left here is sometimes people get in the mode of well my story has written. I'm like me. And people get to that stage like, well, my story's written. Got X amount of years left. 35 left. I am who I am. The thing is do not need permission from anybody. You make a conscious to retool you.
That's right.
If you want to do something different, be someone different, whatever. You want to become a person or something like that. You don't need anyone's permission. You just need to take action. And when we say take action, Laura and I are both not next month, Christmas, New Year's resolution, stop doing those. We're talking like now.
Today.
Like,
Yeah.
you see that. Do it. And take action. Because that's part of the whole process is about. Nothing is given anyway. You have to do something. And even if it's as small as you gotta start making progress. It could be like, what are you like? What do you find yourself most on Instagram or Facebook or whatever? Like where's your attention involved? Because that's your attention, but it's passion.
So true.
Yeah. So we've got a couple minutes left. So what I'll do is give you the floor. You can kind of wrap up the last couple minutes here, and then get out of here.
How do you want? What would you like me to wrap it up? How do you want me to do that?
I don't know.
I would say a similar thing to what you said. I would say don't wait. And change is happening constantly in your life. It's just a matter of how you choose to direct it. Every day is different. Even if it's the same in a lot of ways, there are things changing in you and around you. So take the opportunity to go in and be the guide in your own life. Take the opportunity to take hold and make the choices, take the action, step into the river, and allow it to take you to that best place for yourself, because it can happen at any time in your life. Anytime. I could probably sit and name 20 people that were over 50 that started their life in the way that they wanted to live their purpose at that point. Over 60. I mean, there's some in their 70s and later that because they chose to do it at that point, and they chose to say, I can make a difference now. And they did.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
That's a
perfect
to
end
it.
it. And
Yeah, just keep in mind.
Just keep in mind.
Don't be an action
talker.
Be an action
Be an
taker.
action taker.
And the last tip, the easiest way to sell that is you're talking about doing something, and you're talking about future events. When this happens, when the clock changes, when I get a raise, bonus, it's never going to happen. You're constantly pushing. If you're like happening today, and then you do about it, you're an action taker. So. Laura, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. A lot of fun. Thanks you guys for tuning in, and see you guys next up.